Abakulira Eddwaliro Lya Kansa Mulago Bakwatidwa bonna nhabwe eva kubba ssente za musolo ezaweebwayo okujjanjaba abalwadde ba kansa n'okugula ebyuma ebikebera kansa. Abantu babawa ensimbi mu mwaka gwa 2016-2017-2018 ensimbi ezo nga zaali za kutereeza eddwaliro erya kansa otekamu ebyuma ebikebera ebyuma ebijjanjaba n'eddagala buli kyetaagisa. Naye bano ensimbi badda muzidibuuda badda muzikola mu byabwe kati nno basimbiddwa mu kakiiko ka Parliament akavunaanyizibwa ku nsimbi ezaabaweebwa ne bajoboja nga tebalina ansa ku nsimbi gye baazissa ng'ate bawoza kino bawoza kiri era bigenze okuggwa gye biggweredde nga bano basindikiddwa ku side bakoleza statement era bagende bavunaanibwe mu mateeka basasule ssente z'omusolo zino ze babba. Amaziga meereere ge gabutikidde eno. Tutandikewo ti tulabe embeera ddala nga wamma gwate bweri.
Confirmation. You had a budget of 48.6 billion, not so? So lucky. Your budget was warranted to you 100%. Okay? Yeah, that is a unique thing to achieve. And it should be. But then issues start. Out of the total warrants of 48 billion.76, the auditor was able to review activities utilization of worth I reviewed the utilization that's worth 42.95 as summarized below. I think all that page on I will correct just for literature. We can proceed straight to, you just confirm that table 2 is what it is and table 1, and we proceed. Is it okay? Okay, we go to 1.1. You had a budget, you had budgeted to collect 4.5 billion in NTR. You collected 3.37 billion, representing a 95% performance. So first explain the underperformance of NTR.
Thank you, Chair. NTR collections are really projections of how much we expect to collect based on the services we offer in a given financial year. And these projections are based on the services that we offer at the Institute, but also projections made on the ability of patients to pay for the services. During the financial year under audit, we experienced a reduction in the number of patients attending private services, but we had also projected that we would have increased utilization of the equipment, but this was again under private services. We had reduced utilization of those services. Most patients opted for waivers. Many of them could not afford the cost of the services. The director, with his discretion, actually waived the cost of these fees because patients could not afford these services under the private services. And of course, we still have a duty to provide these services to the patients. However, as the director has mentioned, we have actually increased the number of equipment we have. For example, radiotherapy. We installed 4 new radiotherapy machines, and we expect that with the increase in this number of machines and also the nuclear medicine facility that is upcoming, we expect that the NTR collections will increase in the coming financial years.
Okay, before going to other sophisticated demand, let us go for where people are concerned. You collect in the private services. Take us through those private services.
So the Cancer Institute has a private wing, a private service, and a private wing is basically one of the wards that we offer at the Cancer Institute, and some services at the Cancer Institute are paid for. For example, the imaging services, we charge a nominal fee for the imaging services. We also charge a nominal fee for radiotherapy services, and then we also have some patients who are purely private who are under the private wing. Now, the NTR is an aggregation of the fees from the patients.
Sir, what we need,
yes,
tell us those fees.
So, for private wing,
yes,
we pay admission fees.
Do you have a schedule of those fees?
We have a schedule of the fees, but I haven't come along with it, but you can supply that to the clerk.
Can you call and they are sent to you on soft copy?
Yes.
Just give a call. The world has changed.
Yes.
Just call, but go through them.
Yes, we can, shortly I think somebody is going to send the fees.
Yeah, no, you go through them, you know them.
So we have admission fees.
How much?
Which is 100,000 per night.
Per night?
Yes.
In the private wing?
In the private wing.
What do you mean by admission?
So for somebody to stay there overnight.
Okay, you are admitted.
Yes, you are admitted, so you stay there overnight. Then we have consultation fees. So if somebody comes for outpatients, for a visit to see a doctor, they pay 50,000 per visit.
Okay.
That is for the private wing again. The drugs are free.
In the private wing?
Yes, all over.
Okay.
The drugs are provided free for all the patients.
Okay.
Then when you come to the laboratory, for example, the CBC, which is just checking the blood, is 10,000 Uganda shillings for private and is free for general. The ultrasound is 10,000, X-ray is 30,000, and then CT scan is 200 to 300,000 depending on the organ that you need to do. Then radiotherapy is, if you're doing one of the advanced techniques, is 1.4 million Uganda shillings.
The whole?
For the entire radiotherapy. So that's about 6 weeks of radiotherapy.
Okay.
Yes.
Now we're asking, you have a budget of 48.
Yes.
48.76.
Correct.
Your NTR.
Yes.
The reason why you have a private wing is to generate NTR.
Yes.
Okay? Now you generate a mere 4.56.
Yes.
So if government topped up this figure,
yes,
will it be okay for you to offer everything private? Free. Because the kamana you generate out of those things is just this much, out of a budget of 48.
So, Chair, thank you for that. And actually, we need more support from the government. We still have many gaps that are unfunded. Part of the reason we are collecting, for example, NTR, is to ensure that our equipment are maintained. We have a very small budget for maintenance of equipment, and most of the money that we get from NTR is to maintain.
No, you aren't answering the question.
Yes.
And I think I better put it to him. Because for all the things you say, private wing and everything, you generate 4.5.
Yes.
Your budget is 48. Okay?
Yes.
And it's a public good. Because my understanding, the layman is understanding that my mother and the poorest of the poor are subsidizing the rich who go in the private wing.
That is true.
Because for the 48, it is collected from all of us, from our consolidated fund. And then we can't access it. So like a small money goes into finance a rich man, and I can't access. So we are saying, is it comfortable for you? Because this is a legislature, this is parliament. If we came up with the 4.5, will it sit comfortable for you to say, we no longer charge anything, everything is private? Because that's all we generate.
Everything is free.
Everything is free.
Thank you, Chair. Actually, you have asked a very fundamental question. and I should give also a fundamental answer. The fundamental answer is that all cancer patients are actually poor. And actually, despite the fact that we have a few people who would want an exclusive service, even those ones, we subsidize them. As I said, even the people who are in private, they get their anti-cancer drugs free. That means already they are actually gaining from that 48 billion that the government has given. So the only thing that they are getting in the private, of course, a few investigations here and there, but only space which has ambience, and that is the only thing that they are actually getting. I would say even if government gives us that 4.5 billion, there is still going to be need, because cancer treatment is uniform internationally. So that means even if you are a poor person or you are a rich person, the standard of treatment that you are getting is the same. So I think really, even if you gave us that 4.5 billion, it is still not going to make a very big difference.
But Chair, doctors, is for the interest of our people and for the public facility and the public good that you are offering, in the event that, okay, the 4.5 that Chair is saying is given to you as NTR, can you maybe tell us how much you would need in order to offer free service? Because even here, Chair, we talked of 100% absorption, release and absorption for whatever you are given, which is very good. But Chair, there is 20 billion that have been provided for by external funding. And even in the revised budget it was there. And that money, you've not told us why you did not pick it. Chair, there's 20 billion. If you look at a statement of appropriation, that's on page, it is not, page 10, the next page. The next page after 10, of accounts. Are we there? Then the next page after 10. Is it 10? It's not 10. Okay, after these figures are unreadable. They are deleted. I think it is not even 10. I'm not sure. Is it 10? Page 15. Statement of appropriation. Is it 15?
The second one. Yeah.
Yes. We had external funding of 20 billion that you had initiated as part of your budget. It was also revised. We want to believe that it was a funding that was accessible to you. But at the end of it all, you have declared 100% and no absorption. So could it be that it was withheld and yet it was part of your initiated budget? Those are the funds that you would need. But also tell us, how much would you want to offer free service? Because the people are only paying 5 or 4, and yet government is meeting the other costs. What would be appropriate budget that you would desire to offer free service? Thank you.
So we have said this several times. Our for provision of cancer care in the country.
Maybe first the 20 that you did not, then of course.
Let my colleagues respond.
So through Chair, the 20 billion was funding from African Development Bank, and it's also the subject of the second audit report. But this was money towards construction of the multi-purpose building, and as we'll explain in the second audit report, we had actually no progress on that site, no payments from ADB for this building. And this was largely because we had issues with the contractors that again I explained in the second audit report when we reach it.
So, Chair, for the optimal budget,
but try to explain out of time.
So under the funding from the African Development Bank, we were required to set up a multi-purpose building for cancer research and training and care. And this commenced in 2018, and we had ROCO as the contractor for this building. And at some point during the construction, there was cash flow stress from the contractor, and eventually the contract lapsed and there was no progress on the site. So we went through processes of selecting another contractor to replace ROCO. So during that time of the audit, we actually had no contractor to use this money, and the funds were held with actually African Development Bank and couldn't be dispersed without a contractor on site. We currently have another contract on site, and the funds are actually being utilized for the construction now.
But tell us, when was this supposed to start? 2018. 2018. How many years down the road?
This is now about 5 years. Yes.
What was the contract period?
So the contract period at initial signing was 18 months. 18
months?
Yes.
So it should have been completed in
2020.
2020. We are now in 2024. So tell us, it's a subject of another audit.
Yes.
You can finish it now. Do you have that copy?
Yes.
Because we don't have that time. Is it part of the reports I have?
But Mr. Chairman, as they look around for fix, they have what you call contract managers, right?
Yes.
For that project.
Yes.
Now, a project of 2018, now all along for this period, when you know the contractor failed, and it took you a number of months or period to again engage another one. I thought you were on the site. You don't know exactly what is taking place. And you know all this is borrowed funds.
Yes.
Maybe you are generating from UNTR. Is it part of UNTR?
No, this is African Development Bank.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Government pays a lot of money on the commitment fees and disburse, whatever it's not disbursed.
Yes.
These are costs government has incurred.
Yeah.
So for you sit somewhere under you, because ROCO has failed to perform. After 5 years, then you really, who is responsible for that?
Yes. When did this project commence? Let's start slow. The contractor ROCO started constructing in 2018. For a period of how many months?
18 months.
18 months. That is 1 year and a half years. So it was supposed to be completed
by end of 2020 financial year.
Who was the project manager? Or who is the project manager amongst you?
So the project manager at that time has since left the institution, and currently I'm managing the project.
When did you take over?
I took over last year.
Last year? Yes. For how long have you been CEO?
Since 2012.
Since 2012. So all this happened on your watch?
Yes, but
are you normally on? Is the site far from where you work?
No.
So every day you can see the progress.
And every day I used to be on site.
You used to be on the site. So when did the project stall?
The project stalled because of.
When did it stall?
Actually, it is stalled about 2020. It started very well, then stalled 2020.
It stalled 2020?
Yes.
What was the completion date? If it had been in normal progress?
It should have been December 2020.
So it stalled on the year of completion?
Correct.
So at what level was it?
When it stalled, I think, in as far as the infrastructure is concerned, or what do they call it, the construction is civil works. If civil work was at about 67%.
That was around which?
67%.
7%. Civil works.
Civil works, yeah.
Because the project to be completed also had other...
Correct, yeah.
But it was a 60, and you were watching?
Not that we were just watching, because...
because it stalled in the last months of completion.
Yeah.
That's what we are saying. It stalled in 2020. Okay? 2020 was the completion year.
Yeah.
So, and it stalled on civil works, that's just the construction, was at 60%. So by the time it stalled, it was also behind schedule.
It had delayed.
Without even looking at your report details, it was already behind schedule. But every day you are there.
Yes, because the contractor kept on giving us, you know, excuses, until finally actually we discovered that they were under financial stress.
How about the performance on the payment?
The performance of the payment, we were up to date.
So you had given them how much of the contract sum?
65%.
And the progress was?
67%.
So you had overpaid?
No.
No. No.
No, you had given them 65% of what?
The
contract price.
Correct.
Which includes other things. I'm being very clear. The contract price includes non-civil works. Not so? So what were the cost of the civil works on the contract price? Because you are still just on civil works, on building. So tell us what was the cost of I want to establish whether by that time you had not overpaid.
We had not.
No, I'm just asking, you said your payment level was at what?
65%.
65% of the total contract sum. Is that so?
And Mr. Chairman,
Of the total contract sum.
Doctor should know that there is that defect.
You had paid. Yes. What was the cost of civil works?
The cost of civil work also.
So, yeah. The total paid at 8.4.
Translated, it is about 14. It was about $14 million.
Which one?
The cost of civil works.
What was, you've said the total contract sum is $14 million.
Yes.
Then civil works can't be $14 million.
The contract sum.
Be very careful, I have little time, I'll put you on oath if you begin giving contradictory answers. I told you, even the overall total, you said it was 14.
For the total contract was 14.
Yes.
Yes, and the total disbursed at that time was $8.4 million, which is about 60% of the contract.
60% of the contract.
Yes.
Now tell us, in the BOQ, what was the cost of the civil works?
Yeah, right.
Because you are still at civil works.
Yes.
When the building stalled. So what was the total cost of the civil works only?
It was about 4.5 million. That's a problem.
Chair, I will get the figure for the civil works.
Honorable Chair, procedure. Honorable colleagues, we may realize that we don't have the document for this very activity, and much as we may be given these figures by the witnesses, but verification is not easy. So, Honorable Chair, I request that we allow them get that document so that we can submit with information that is reliable enough, but also to give our side the information to really to tell and see whether what you are giving us is right. Otherwise, it is very hard for us to follow up when you are making submission on a document that we don't have. Chair, I was submitting that on a procedure matter, that they are submitting information that is not available to us. and they also seem to be looking for the figures from phone and other sources. So, Chair, I request that we either allow time to submit that document to us so that we can discuss with evidence. Otherwise, the figures they give, we cannot really ascertain whether the right figures, Chair.
Mr. Chairman, for me, I differ with the submission of the Vice, because this is there to this time. You don't know, you don't have even records, you don't have where to refer to. Are we serious with what we are doing here? We are just sitting there and we should be knowing.
And Mr. Chairman, suffice to note, she had made a procedure. We'll wait, we'll interrogate. If we feel we are getting stuck and we need a document, we'll pause. But I think we are progressing well and we are getting the right answers.
Correct.
And they seem to be providing the right answers.
Correct.
It's told in year what?
2020.
2020. Which month? Did you realize that it had stalled?
Actually, we had noted that the contractor was not moving at the pace that we had anticipated. I would say a little bit earlier in 2020. That should have been about at half the year. And then it was until around October when actually we realized that I think they were having cash strap. I mean, they were cash strapped.
October of
2020.
How much money had you paid in that financial year?
Actually, what we are trying to provide is close to what we had paid them.
That financial year you paid how much?
It was about $6 million.
$6 million.
Yeah.
I see in that year you paid 12 billion in Ugandan shillings. But even in the year under, when did you resume construction after the stalling of the project?
So maybe just to give...
No, just tell me that quick one.
So resumption of construction was actually in December of 2023.
December
2022.
2022.
By a subcontractor nominated. I just want to give a background that in December of 2020, by 30th December 2020.
Well, let's even get the, did you terminate the contract?
That's what I'm going to explain. That ROCO submitted a request for extension.
Okay.
So okay. ROCO requested for an extension on December 30th. So the contract was supposed to end on 30th December 2020, and ROCO submitted a request for extension.
It was supposed to end in December.
Yes, 30th December 2020.
2020.
Yes. And ROCO submitted a request for extension of the contract and gave circumstances under which there was valid grounds for extension of the contract. And so one of the grounds that ROCO gave was, I think, COVID-19 and also cost of materials. So the contract was actually extended, but it was a no-cost extension. It wasn't a costed extension. However, when the extension was given, ROCO still failed to progress on the construction. So the UCI actually wrote to the bank, to the African Development Bank, notifying the bank that ROCO had failed in its obligations, and we requested to actually cash the advance payment guarantee, to terminate the contract and cash the advance payment guarantee, which was duly done, and the institute received back $2.8 million of what had been paid to ROCO. This was given back to UCI to also be used for the construction of the project. Now there was a nominated subcontractor from ROCO who was actually doing the civil works, and the UCI requested the African Development Bank to continue with the subcontractor and pay the subcontractor directly, who was doing the civil works for that building. And this nominated subcontractor actually is the one who took on the work up to the end of the contract in December 2022. And then from December 2022 the bank undertook a mission to the Cancer Institute and advised the government to actually seek a new contractor. And the advice at that time was to actually use the subcontractor who was on site, but give the contract the subcontractor so that there's no relationship with ROCO at that point. So you have now a completely new contractor. And that contractor, SMS Construction, is now the contractor on site executing the works.
Up your project funding.
Yes.
Do you have the figures? So it started in
2016.
2016.
Yes.
That's when the project started.
Correct.
You said the total sum is $14 million.
That is for the contract.
Eh?
For the construction contract.
That is the construction.
Yes.
What's the total sum of this project?
$32 million US.
$32 million US. So what does it involve?
So it involves construction, which is the key component.
Okay.
It involves equipment.
Okay.
It involves training.
Training.
Yes.
Have you sent some people for training already?
Yes. So to date we have trained 214 people.
214?
Yes.
People?
Yes. In different specialties.
For training?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Because that's what I'm getting is that in the first year, how much money is, tell us through the years how much you've been paying per year. Because what I see is that in the years where you saying the project stalled, for example, in 2020-21, you spent 12 billion. It may not all have been for construction. In the year 2021-22, you spent 116 billion. 21-22, you spent 118 billion. Even in the year under audit, you spent 9.908 billion.
So I think one clarification to make is that the 119 billion was not the project funding. That was government of Uganda funding towards radio. So it's what was used to purchase the radiotherapy equipment as well as the SPECT CT.
So it was on which code? Was it under the project code?
No, it was not under the project code. It was under the UCI code because the total project budget is 30 billion. So
I would like to
30 million.
To request to go back to the procedural matter the Vice raised. This project as a standalone. Its progress and the level it has reached. I've just had spoken to the clerk that on Thursday, when we visit Mulago, we are going to still come to the Cancer Institute. We are going to just pay courtesy call. But now we'll be coming for a special audit to look through the value for money audit, which, because they've done a value for money. And I think including this project, they've done a value for money. So we are going to come to look at that project, value for money, and the progress, how the contractor lost out, and everything. So we'll spend a little bit of an hour on the audit process, not just the touring. So can we, honorable colleague, pause this to plan a Thursday visit to the Cancer Institute, where we are going to tour this project and evaluate its progress. By that time, our side will be well prepared. And that's when we shall also do the value for money for you. Is that settled?
Thank you.
Okay. But now we have, sometimes these figures, the entity looks small with a small budget, but the sheer detail, when you begin to dig, just shock you. Let's go back to matters of NTR. Doctor, we are saying, you seem to be receiving a lot of public funds, both borrowed and donor funded. Not so? The question is, your NTR, okay, is material in nature because it's in billions. But when you look at what you are treating, the scourge of cancer and the need for it, and
Yes, we are. Yes.
because what's failing us are agencies of government that are hugely paid for, subsidized. They are private, they don't seem to be making money. And therefore, would better bankroll you, pay this little smaller fee of 4 billion, and people walk in and you seem to resist that. You seem not to be comfortable with the providing the 4, which is about 5 billion, and you offer free service.
Chair, let's also hear his option. If you are not comfortable with the 4, what would you need?
Because our report is going to recommend that for all these institutions that are passing out as private, when you look at their NTR, specialized women, where, and we're looking for value for money, is that we are better off matching those who NTR and you offer free service. Across board, you are not making money. And the private hospitals run, not funded to this extent, are making money.
Can I respond?
So really justify why you continue to operate a private wing. Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Why do you operate a private wing? With all this funding, we are borrowing to fund you, we are doing this. Poor people. And all of us are candidates there at one stage.
Yes, but Mr. Chairman, also when we look at both women's specialized hospital and Kawempe, there are cases where they say some patients are exempted from pay. Now, how do you know someone will be able to pay, and how do you manage, doctor, how do you manage? Do you have such cases? We have seen those cases where there's a word they use, they said what?
The waiver committee.
We've seen even in the Kawempe, taking those services for scanning and what. There are cases where they say some patients are waived off the bill, others pay. And when you are offering same service and you charge others you don't, it is discrimination and constitutional. How do you manage? Do you have such cases, or because we also got information that there are some patients you normally refer to that women specialize for the scanning service. That's what you got from them. So do you have such cases where you waive off the bills?
Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, I want to start by really still emphasizing the fact that cancer is a very impoverishing condition. Come to the institute. Actually, they come when now they do not have money. Even the rich, even those people who actually, I would say, are middle class, they come. Initially, when they come, they want to be in the private service, but they cannot even last 3 months in the private service. They revert to the general service. That brings me to why is it that there is need for this private service? First, actually, there are people who would want to start on that route. They do have some money, and currently what they're doing is they are going abroad for their treatment. But ever since, I would say, about 4 years ago, when some of these investments started at the Uganda Cancer Institute, majority of those people are coming and they want service within the institute, and we have statistics that is actually showing that the number of people who have exclusive service is going up at the institute. And actually, those are now the current people who are not actually getting the best out of the investment that the government is making in as far as treatment of cancer is concerned in this country. That is a fact. We can provide the statistics. Now, at the moment, the country is doing very well in treating the poor, because the availability of anti-cancer drug at any one time, if you move into the institute, is between 85% to 90%, and they get it free. And this also includes those people who are coming and enrolling for the private service. So for me, my recommendation is that there is need for us to revisit the definition of what private service is in the Ugandan context. You'll find that actually what we are calling private service is actually
No, you've said that, you've told us it's ambience.
Yeah. What do you call it?
Yours is ambience.
Cost sharing. Cost sharing is different from private service. Although we are calling it private service, literally what we are providing is actually cost sharing. So, if at all government is interested in investing in the institute, for the institute to provide private service, the market is immense. The reason why I'm saying so, at this point, actually we are attracting, because of the investment that now we have, we are attracting so many people coming from the neighboring countries. 20% of the patients who are now enjoying services at the institute are actually foreigners. And if we had a mechanism for...
Can I ask you, do they also still get free drugs?
Correct.
Foreigners?
Foreigners, they do. They do get...
Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, I want to late. I had misplaced my car keys and I couldn't walk away without finding them. But what I wanted to state is that the Uganda Cancer Institute is not just an institute that is supposed to be treating Ugandans. Uganda Cancer Institute, as per the decision of the East African Council of Ministers, was that the Uganda Cancer Institute becomes a center of excellence for the treatment of cancer or oncology within the East African region. And that said, what we need to know is where is the Cancer Institute now in as far as that is concerned. We want to know whether you now have all the equipment that are necessary, inclusive of the PET machine. I don't know whether you now have it, because it's only available within the region, I think in Aga. So we want to know where are you with that. Secondly, I'm aware that Uganda Cancer Institute has been struggling with space. And we cannot talk about private services where the Cancer Institute should be generating income to support the poor without adequate space at the Cancer Institute. When you go there, Chair, I don't know whether the situation has now changed. It has been terrible, with patients all over the place, including the corridors, including outside. So we need to know where the Cancer Institute is in as far as space is concerned. But the Cancer Institute, being a center of excellence for the treatment of cancers within the region, must have that private facility where patients that come in from other countries should actually pay. Why should they be provided services free in this country? With that income that you generate, that is what you'd be using to actually treat
the Ugandans, the poor ones that cannot afford, and the members of parliament and the other rich people can actually utilize the private services. But that can only be provided when you have the space. And that space can be clearly designated as a private wing. But that said, Chair, this is a message I received some time back, and I shared it with the ED, about a patient who said he has been visiting the Cancer Institute for the past 2 years and has observed an increase in medicines received from the pharmacy. Previously, the person said he used to pay for chemo tabs and would spend about 700,000, but he was surprised that the next time he went, he received all this free. So we need to commend the Uganda Institute for their transparency. I trust the team. It's one of those facilities that, well, there are small challenges here and there, but overall, they have tried their best. So, but can we know where you are in terms of that issue of the space? Thank you.
But I think now, okay, you can briefly speak about it, about space, briefly, because we want to go back to, and you seem to insist that you need, you call it cost sharing. Cost sharing needs to be constitutional. You know the limitation of the Constitution. You cannot do discrimination. So that also has issues. If you want to go cost sharing, it could be across board. But that said, for me, I'm looking at first answer query, then we proceed. Let me make a suggestion, Honorable Sarah. On Thursday we are going, okay, for purposes of the projects. We will see that space, and we shall have that discussion there.
Mr. Chairman, space aside, I just want to insist on the issue of the 20% foreigners who are getting treatment here. There's not a single day I have ever gotten even a tablet outside Uganda for free. So why are these people benefiting from our taxes that we are paying? Stressing the small resources, the meager resources that we are having. I want this to be clarified so that we understand what are you people doing? Why do you give them free treatment? Because that money, as said by Honorable Sarah, should be the NTR that should be spent on other things to look after Ugandans. After all, the facility is here and managed by the Ugandans. Why should it be free for everybody? And yet when we go out, like you said, those who used to go out have now come back here. They don't go out for free. They pay a cost. So why are you offering free services for foreigners?
Okay. Thank you very much, Chair, and also for the questions. The foreigners who are coming, actually, as Honorable Pender said, a good number of them are members of the East African Community area. And we do not have a framework within which we should actually charge them. So that means whatever Ugandans are getting, that is also what they get. So unless...
Mr. Chairman, I beg to disagree with this, because when we were for sports as members of parliament, so many of us got COVID. But without insurance, you wouldn't get services from Arusha. Or if you didn't have insurance, you had to have money to pay for this service. If you need to subsidize for East Africans, it should be brought clearly that there's a subsidy for East Africans, but they must pay. They are not Ugandans. They don't pay their taxes here. There's nothing that you get outside Uganda for free. So there must be a cost for anybody who is in Uganda. We shouldn't give a priority to foreigners, and then we stress the resources and fail to look after our own people who are suffering to pay heavy taxes here. That can't be. Something has to be done.
Can we say that those will be our recommendations? Okay, there will be our recommendations in our report. But let's go to NTR. This is where I need Honorable Choma and Honorable. I'm now a bit in your financials, but regarding NTR, the entity and the memorandum must refer to NTR correction of 3 points as miscellaneous. You call it miscellaneous. Okay? Your own NTR, you call it miscellaneous, but it is 3.37 billion. So can you have a total, can you have a breakdown of what constitutes your miscellaneous? You can't call 3.7 billion miscellaneous. That is one. Will you provide us a breakdown of that figure? How do you, which fees do you collect that amount to that amount of money? We want to see, because we've talked about those beds, per day 100,000. For ordinary people, that's private.
Private, ordinary people don't pay.
No, private.
Yes.
But 100,000, if you are going to stay there for cancer treatment for a month, that is 3 million.
Yes.
Okay, for 1 month. Very few Ugandans can afford. Then you are saying, what was it for 1.5?
1.4 is radiotherapy.
Per?
For 6 weeks.
For 6 weeks.
Yes.
So you are going to break us down all those things and how you collected the 3.7 and break us a breakdown. But the entity collected this as per statement of appropriation. You collected 3.36 as per statement of appropriation. However, the transfer made to Treasury was 3,367,101,336, leaving a balance small but significant of 1,047,000 not transferred. There's 1 million you did not transfer. But still going, surprisingly, the variance between actual collection and transfer to Treasury is the same figure of 1,131,000,000, which does not make sense due to the difference of 1 million not transferred. Could you explain that?
Whenever the money is, we collect using DFCU and then transfer to Stanbic, and then Stanbic has standing instructions to transfer it to the consolidated fund. But Stanbic Bank was charging some bank charges. There are some bank charges. That 1 million constitutes some bank charges from Stanbic Bank. That's why the difference is there for the whole financial year.
How about the one of 1 billion?
1 billion. Which page are you?
Let me get my Isma. Explain this.
Thank you, Chair. When you look at the statement of appropriation, the non-tax revenue from non-exchange transaction, like he noted, the actual performance is 3.36 billion, and the variance between the revised budget and the actual performance is 1,131,514,061. But when you look at the transfer to the Treasury, The revised budget is 4.5 billion. They transferred 367 billion, and the variance is still 1,131,514,061. So the variance is the same figure, but the actual and the transfer has a difference of what? Of 1.4 billion. So when you deduct 4.5 billion minus 3.36 billion, you don't get 1.13 billion, because there is that difference which the accountant had explained of the what? Of the transfer. So if the actual and the transfer is different, how come they have the same figure of variances of 1.31 billion? Look at on this column of variance, which is E is equal to C minus D. Look at the column of C minus D.
In other words, you look at your statement of financial position, you look at appropriation, and then you look at note 20, that is on transfers. The pages are not clear. Reconcile all those pages, and that question will be answered. Let's open those pages for your benefit.
So you are becoming, know what I'm saying? You're emphasizing this difference. Okay.
Sorry, I was a bit delayed. I was in the budget, but I think we need to get the question very well. Asked is the difference between the revised budget and actual. Okay, and it has nothing to do with the difference between the actual and the actual collected amount and what was actually transferred. And I've been told what was actually transferred is less than the actual collection because of the bank charges. What is another question?
It's not another question.
Honorable Choma, when you look at the column of variance, E is equal to C.
Exactly. So now you proceed down. The second last figure. Are you seeing it? The second last figure, that column, second last figure. Are you seeing it?
Yes.
Okay, so that is the question now.
Yes.
Should they be the same?
No, they shouldn't.
Of course they shouldn't. So that's the question they're asking you. Why are they the same here?
Chair, these are figures that are generated using IFMIS. I needed to go and open IFMIS to see where it was possible, because we normally when
no, my brother, this can't be IFMIS. You know, IFMIS actually make them accurate. You would rather say, you would rather give another reason. This can't be IFMIS. Because you see, IFMIS is like, is actually like Excel. It is just giving you the difference between 4.5 and billion and 3.367 billion. And for it is very, very accurate. This must have some human hand in this figure. It is over to you, the chairman, now.
Chair, I take his advice, but how we work in IFMIS, we work as in UCI, but also there's a team in Ministry of Finance.
Yes. Oh. No, just bring it closer to you. Pull it, yes. Okay.
how we work with IFMIS, there is a team in finance which helps to track these adjustments. So whenever we put the figures, it's the team in finance which helps to make those adjustments.
It is the one that signed those accounts.
No. They adjust, then we...
No, I'm saying, is it the one that signed?
No, they are not the ones.
Who signed?
Us in the UCI who signed.
Okay, speak for yourself.
Okay, so I will go and look at this and then I'll give you an appropriate answer.
So are your accounts reliable and trustworthy and thorough?
Yes, Chair.
When you can't explain, there's about 1.4 billion. It's a lot of money, sir.
It's not 1 billion.
That's what? Three. 1.132 billion. It's a lot of money. Doctor, comfort your officers. This water is not cancerous, so you should take tea.
I need to look at the audit trail.
You need time? You need time. But you have now appreciated
Yes.
the issue that you have to, for the meantime, the query is sustained until you prove otherwise.
Yes.
Performance of warrants. You had a warrant of, yes, warrants were given to you 100%. Utilization of warrants, you failed to utilize 70 million. Should we focus on that or proceed? We shall take them on the record. 1.3.
The difference of 1.7 actually...
No, that one we've now gone to 1.3.
Okay.
You have spoken, we shall take you. The figure is this, is material, but not too big that we'll take you by your response. Because of time.
Yes.
1.3, unsupported budget outputs. This is what it says. Shall indicate the funding allocated to each entity. Contrary to the above, I observed that the budgets for all the 4 outputs assessed were not supported by individual activity costing and budgets. He goes on to elaborate. Code, he gives you a code. Construction management. This budget is 650. Infrastructure development and management, 2.7 billion. Support service, 1.2. Facilities and equipment management, 4.3. Failure to provide detailed costing for this. Can you explain why that is so?
The costing of these activities are done by when we asked him why he did not provide this costing, he said, I think it was an omission, and he said, going forward, we are going to do the costing.
Where is the planner?
Where is the planner?
Where is the planner?
He said he was sick, he didn't come.
He said he was sick or he's sick?
He's sick.
So, do you know, you see, because this becomes doubtable expenditures, I don't know whether you know the implication. And the audit has been clear to say, to put even value, it's almost 5 billion of doubtable expenditure. And listen to where they are. Construction management. What do you do under construction management? that you can't cost?
There is supervision. Supervision of the sites.
Supervision?
Yes.
Okay. On which site?
All the UCI sites. The construction sites.
How many do you have?
We have in the UCI, then we have in Gulu, and then Mbale.
In Mbale? So 650 million?
Yes.
Is in those construction sites, and you can't account. You had no cost, you just walk, take fuel and walk, and you spend that money. Is the account, is it normally posted?
UCI.
How about infrastructure management and infrastructure management? Development. So you spent 2.7 billion without any document, without any activity, without any budget.
I think the documents were there.
You know, we had an exit meeting with the auditor, and he did not see those documents. That's why he sustained the query. Not so, they are here. They asked you for documents for all these sums of money. You could not prove. Facilities, you are complaining, facilities and equipment. So there is this support service. What do you mean by support service?
These are the individual consultants which help in the construction, because they are like in a multi-purpose building. They are individual consultants, and some costs are paid by government of Uganda.
Yes, you don't have a costing for those costs. So indirectly the editor is telling you these are dubious expenditures. Are you aware? He's saying, not so. In the literal sense, he says all these are dubious expenditures. You can't justify them. It is, and I don't know why you did not qualify this entity here. With 5 billion of dubious expenditures. I think when you use dubious, you know them, doctor. And you are personally liable. Unless you prove to this committee beyond reasonable, and it's the last opportunity you have. Okay? You are going to be held personally liable for this money.
Chair, I think during the visit, maybe some of the areas can be...
No, we can't come to visit you see, we are not going to turn that visit into an auditing process. So we don't have the time and expertise.
What I'm saying is what maybe we could have missed to document at that time. We can actually see what it has done physically.
What
we could have missed to document.
No, did you attend the exit meeting?
Yes, we did.
Did the auditor give you a management letter?
Yes, we did.
Where he said these are queries, and you had an exit meeting. All the way that information filters to this report. So on your head is 5 billion which you cannot explain.
I don't know, but I doubt whether the accounting officer has clearly understood the query. Reason, you have a party, you're going to buy a cake, you have catering services, and you put an outlay of how you're going to spend that money. So you want to tell us that you had activity serious of you, Mr. Accounting Officer. So, and here you do state that you have to observe that the accounting officer acknowledged the anomaly and promised to, going forward, the activities would be costed. This is so, I mean, it is so less of you, Mr. Accounting Officer. You cannot claim that you cannot cost outputs worth 5 billion. This is a lot of money. Where did you put the money? This implies that the activities were not implemented. Or else it is a forgery. How can this come out? I think you should treat it with a lot of seriousness. It is a very serious matter.
but you look to be treating it casually.
So maybe, Chair, I'd like to understand whether this query is about the budgeting process or the expenses, because it appears that this is at the budget level where the auditors are adding the expenses.
Can I tell you what it says? Failure to provide detailed costing for activities implies that the costing of output level cannot be justified.
Yes.
Okay? And as such, there is a risk that the entity either over or under budgeted for these outputs.
Yes, so this is at the budgeting level.
No, it's not at the budgeting level, sir. These outputs were implemented. The auditor is here. They were executed. The costing of those outputs. And he was there on site and said, what did you do with this money? For him, he saw you spending money. He said, what did you spend this money for? You could not show him the activities. But the money was spent on these lines. And it's very clear. He gives you a code. He gives you the output. Where money is not querying everything. You have the budget of 48. He's just saying, for this fine, I did not see the expenditure on which activities. That means, I don't know, that's how we interpreted it. The actual interpretation is these are doubtable expenditures. And if the auditor doubts at this stage, 11th stage, we cannot say otherwise. So we are saying, you really is saying, most auditors don't even cost them. They give us the one. This one was very, very good, did a good job. He says this and puts a figure. He made, sir, 5 billion on your head. Tell us, where is the money?
Actually, I'm wondering why he's saying that at budgeting level. I will just ask you a simple question. If you are in charge of expenditure, the fact that the activity did not have costs attached, how do you go ahead and spend? Because you would spend on an activity based on the earmarked money, the indicated money, the budgeted money for that activity. Where the activity does not have specific monies indicated, then you would not spend. If you are spending, then we are doubting actually, what have you spent? What was the worthwhile money? That is the whole thing. That's why it is doubtable. Okay?
And Chair, for the benefit of doubt, for example, if we can say under infrastructure development and management that costed you 2.7 billion, can you highlight what was under infrastructure development and management? For example, I traveled to, traveling inland 700 for fuel. We shall have stationary 500,000. I know that this makes sense. Because this is a lot of money, but you seem not to understand what we are talking about. They are saying these were your outputs, but they were not costed. I was supposed to do this, but under this activity, there is money for fuel, there is money for stationery, there is money for allowances, and that cannot be done.
Honorable colleagues, Ministry of Finance takes these officers through the things and how they happen. We are not going to turn this into a lecture of what costed outputs are. All accountants know, all planners know, all accounting officers know. Before you approve an expenditure for this meeting is under the Clerk of Parliament. He has requested in our system here to somebody called Mr. Cassidy asking for money for this thing. And Cassidy acknowledges. And the clerk later on says, man under that line. Now for you to sign off that that's okay as an accounting officer, you must see on the plan what was the cost, what was the budget for that activity, how much are you spending over the financial year. And then you say, this one, I sign those vouchers. So you sign the vouchers, this is what it means. You sign the vouchers worth of 5 billion, money was spent for no activity costing.
Mr. Chairman, Chair.
Yes.
The new system, IFMI system, when you are making payments, you have to see the details of what you are paying. So when the doctor knows whatever, before he validates whatever, he knows that today I've paid this. It is on the system. So I think, Mr. Chairman, if last let us proceed, knowing we have many activities today.
But
as
just
if we are just talking for ourselves.
And I'm respecting you that much. If you are not any other officer, you know, I've told you to make a statement with CID for this money. But we shall take that decision at the end of the meeting. Implementation of outputs.
But they raise an issue that the plan is not available. Maybe.
But there's an accounting officer.
We can give you an opportunity through your chair if it is available, if you can provide.
The only opportunity you could ask for is to give us a detailed costing.
And then you submit to the committee.
But they are quiet. But they are quiet. They are here.
No, I respect the doctor.
Few of them may want to mean that they don't know what to do. They don't have it. That is why they have kept quiet. They don't have. Otherwise, they would have told you this information is available. It was an oversight during that time, so you shall submit. A moment of silence means you don't have it.
The doctor on record acknowledged the anomaly.
Yes.
Okay? On record, we are not going to amend this. He acknowledged the anomaly. He only committed going forward. But the anomaly means that this remains a dubious expenditure. In the likelihood, just respect you, sir, by your seniority in the country, is to give you an opportunity to provide a breakdown, which I will forward to the auditors for verification, and you have to do that in the next 2 days. Failure to do so is a financial loss.
Thank you.
Implementation of activities.
So of course that would be a soft landing to my friend, the accounting officer. He's actually my friend. But that would be a soft landing. And because you see, once you give them a chance to go and do the costing, then they will force the costing. But for them, they spent without the costing. So you cannot recost what you have already spent. They will force, and this will not be genuine costs. So
are you saying that we amend that?
Yeah, because it doesn't provide a solution. I would want to hear from my friend what happened, because last time they had promised us that they would really improve. So, and this one is becoming unique. At least others have been actually trying and costing. Maybe you will find a few not costed, but this is quite on the higher side. We could hear from him. There must be.
Let me get institutional memory.
Yes, Chair, and last time, before we became a chair, it was. But all of them have improved, have really relatively improved. So I don't know what is happening to my friend.
So, Chair, I'm going to make a more now. If he hasn't improved, is your planner, can he move? Is he too sick to move? Because after this meeting, I'm going to send you with the one CID officer and retrieve a copy of your activity planning and costing.
Chair, you are not being fair to the accounting officer. The accounting officer said, I acknowledge the anomaly and promise to improve as we move forward. So why do we really force information out of him? The man accepted it is an anomaly not to cost, and we shall improve in the future. So could be we just employ him to improve in the future as we sustain the query? Because you are forcing him to bring something that he doesn't have.
No, if we sustain that query, you know the implication. And this puts that last chance on the planet Earth to prove otherwise. He's a senior citizen.
Chair, what is
let us respect his age.
Chair, what is your intention therefore? Because if the query is supposed to be sustained and a senior citizen has acknowledged and has continued doing the same, does it still remain something to learn from, or we must take action? Because if you're a senior citizen and you continue doing wrong things, what would you expect the younger ones to see? Mr. Chair, I think we need to put our feet on ground and do what we're supposed to do.
Do you have to move a motion?
Chair,
yes.
Before I move to the chair, I want to agree with you.
I can move.
Because you see the costing. And if we wanted actually the prana, so if it is an issue to do with competence, then we have to make a recommendation. Okay? Because at least for the last meetings, most of the MDAs were lacking in these issues of costing. And Minister of Finance, Accountant General, had committed really to continue with training. And from what we have been seeing, at least there is some improvement, except for here. So this is where we really needed the prana himself. And what we have asked for, okay, we will actually provide an answer. We will establish whether the prana is competent enough to actually remain in that position, Chair. Otherwise, with Dr. Jackson, what does he know in the real costing? He will simply admit and say we will improve without knowing the implications.
Chair, Dr. Owen is consultant. I don't know what I should call him in oncology, beyond senior consultant. And I know he's very busy in those wards and may not get into these matters, these figures and so on. So I wanted to find out how long has this planner been in office before I can proceed with what I wanted to present.
He has been in office 5 years.
Chair, 5 years is not a short time. And we actually looked at these accounts the previous financial year. Therefore, this person knows exactly what costing of these output means. So I think, Chair, rather than hold the accounting officer responsible, I would suggest that we find time to interface with this. When we go to, on Thursday, we could carry this forward and handle this when we are there. And I hope the planner will have recovered. Because the statement said here is that he called saying, Mbu, that he was sick. There was no confirmation. So let's carry this forward. And if we don't get satisfactory explanations on Thursday from that planner, then we can make an appropriate recommendation.
Okay. Fred and Saz. Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, like you had rightly said in the beginning, this is a sensitive matter. I want to agree with Honorable Choma that with the memory line, there has been a lot of inconsistencies in output and activities, especially costing. So now that on Thursday we are going there, we can give benefit. Even if they go and forge, there will be no amount that will change the work plans, even through IFMIS, where you can extract and see what exactly did you pay for. So there will be no change that will occur. Let's give them benefit. On the Thursday we look at that. And nevertheless, we are still around. This now is going to remain in your memory. Immediately next financial year comes, we can start with that. So we cannot run away. We are still around. The issue cannot suffice. Yes, but Thursday, where the accounting officer, where Susan is right, where the account and the vice, where the accounting officers are acknowledged, our hands are almost tied. But let me first
Mr. Chairman, I wanted to differ from him and sir, and from his experience since 2012 he has been the accounting officer and is not saying anything on this, which is an open query. Mr. Accounting Officer, can you please assist us and talk about this query, because I don't believe that Thursday will solve anything. It is not a surprise. This thing has been here and you knew it.
Chair, I've been listening attentively, and I do concern that has been expressed, and also I acknowledge this when the process we interface with the auditors. But one thing that I can say very clearly is that there was fault in the planning, but nonetheless work has been done.
There was fault.
There's been gaps in the planning process, but work has been done, and that can actually be visibly seen. Although the process was faulty, but the outcome is there. That is actually the basis for my assertion that moving forward, we will do things smarter.
Yes, now that you say so, the person who has been in office charged to make you smart seems not to be doing his work. Let's take the middle ground suggested by Honorable Sarah. We penned this query until Thursday. Produce the planner, okay, who is responsible for costing. By that time, if he's smart, he would come with information and everything and say, you know, this is what I did. But we will hold that officer liable and accountable. Not as you were head, you are not the implementing unit. Much as under the law, you are liable. But at the end of the day, their office, if they are trustable, they carry their cross, not you. So can we pen this to Thursday, and we shall visit this query, so we shall have like a small session of audit process. You remember now we have the one of the building and the one of the value for money and this one. Implementation of output. Your work is still not yet done. I assessed the implementation of three out billion. What's the wage of this sector, this institute? Wage. I know what I'm asking for. Wage is 15. I've seen it here. 28 out of 48. Is that a requisite sample? Below 50, It's above 50. Above 50. We can fly with that. And these things next year, they're not going to be acceptable. Good enough, this team here is going to audit you for 3 audits. This one, the other one, even after elections. You can, it will be the salary and even the audit after elections. So we have 3 audits to do with you. So now 2 outputs with 15 activities worth 13 billion were fully implemented. Out of how much? We are fully implemented. Out of the 15 activities, the 0.2, we are fully implemented. We are fully implemented. Out of the 15, the 2 outputs. Okay. Out of the 15 activities, the entity fully implemented 6 activities and partially implemented 9 activities. 1 activity, 1 output, and 1 activity at 800 million. 80 million was not implemented. Despite having received the required funds. You know what it means? You do not implement this activity, but you specialize the human resource. 2, 3, C program outreach to schools. Details in appendix 1A to B. What is that appendix talking about? So, do you know the chart there, sir? Is that useful, if I'm not mistaken? Because you said here, 2 outputs with the 15 activities, whereas the 13 were fully implemented. The outputs were fully implemented, don't so? But then you say 15 activities. Out of the 15 activities, the entity fully implemented 6 activities, and 9 were partially implemented. So they, and then there's this one, which you do not even do at all. And NAQ is just giving us a sample. It is 28, because I'm taking even the wage, plus the 13. So the rest, he hasn't told us what you did, but that's for another day. We go with what you have in the audit. So where did you put the money, sir? Okay, members.
You were the one with working with under public service before? She went back to public service. Okay. Chair, I think there have been issues around human resources, and I'm not surprised that part of this money was utilized, yet they did not recruit the super specialized people who are supposed to be recruited. There were allegations by the team within the human resource that they employ people on contract. I don't know whether this is the reality. They employ people on contract, backdoor, and this money is utilized on those people other than focusing on the critical stuff that the hospital actually needs. Can we know how many staff are on contract, if at all they are there? And then I'll ask my question, other questions after.
Thank you, Honorable. We have a total of 216 staff on contract.
Can we have the list so that we know whether they are supposed to be staff of the institute, or you are just bringing out people because there's information that people are recruited, those who are not even members, and given false titles? So can we have that list so that we can be able to confirm that these are real employees of this place? Because it could be for relative in-laws and friends.
Honorable Member, thank you. I have the list here, but it's not complete. I beg to provide the list by Thursday, the complete list.
If you have the list, you say you have 241. Why are you not having a complete list? Where are others? Are they not ghosts? Because you should be having a whole list. If you have a list, it should be a complete list. So for you to have a partial list means that there's something hidden somewhere.
Thank you. I realized that I didn't pick the correct list, because this that I have is updated in January. But I have the most updated list.
Chair, can she hand over what she has now? And then we can look at the complete one when we can receive the complete one when we get there on Thursday.
No. What are you hiding? You. I saw you a little bit. What did you throw down? What document did you throw down? What document? Nothing. Otherwise, we want not to present. Let him say something, Chair. So you are being clever, sir. Can you present that document, sir?
Honorable Chair,
Can you lay it on table? Speak to it, what is it?
Chair, this is our staff list as of November last year. But we have an updated staff list. So we can provide this, but this is, you can see, it's not up to date. Yeah. This just simply to show you that we do have staff list and we can provide an updated one.
So why was the other gentleman refusing the HR to
I think he was thinking it is too old, but it is just to show that
it is up to what?
Up to November 2023.
2023?
Yes.
What is the year of the audit? 22-23, just provide. It's for the audit purpose.
Honorable Chair, I advise that before he submits, he owns it. Because it is just a rough document, he should own it.
Okay. Okay.
Chair will ask more questions after receiving that list.
Honorable, okay.
The complete list.
HR.
Maybe on Thursday.
Have you answered their question? No, before Thursday they can give us the updated one.
Can I look at it?
You can look at it. Give it to Honorable Sarah for perusal and brief the committee. You go to matters money. So where is the money? It's where is that appendix? Appendix 1. Accounting officer. You see that section of 1.4. It's the heart of the audit. You get it? It is because in it you either prove there was a mischarge, a diversion. So why did you put the money that was for those activities? You only fully implemented 6, not so? Only 6 out of 15. So the rest you had the money, you spent it, you did not, and you just evaluated 13 billion.
Some of those activities, when audit was taking place, we contacted the Mr. Jasso, who is what? Alfred, who is doing community work. Some of those activities were supposed to visit schools, but because the demand for community work, sensitization has grown, so most of the districts are demanding for most of those activities. So they combined some of those activities with outreaches. Clearly that they combined activities, so they gave a general report of their activities of outreaches. That's why they seem to be not done, but they were done, and that's why the money was spent.
Sir, the 88 million, that one you did not do an activity. So don't forge an explanation. It's like for recruitment of the super specialized human resource. That one you did not do, but you spent the money. Otherwise, there should have been unspent balances. But then, even on the 9 activities, you partially implemented. You did not follow. We don't know what they are, but the auditor was exposed to what they were. So you'd find is that out of 13 billion, and this also speaks to your lack of unsupported what? Documents. That's why there is the other 5 billion there that is questionable. You see, they speak to each other. When you deny this one, when you go to activity, we will see that the auditors were right. That's why he acknowledged. So, sir, where is the money? No. One was not done, one whole output was not done, not just an activity. But that output had one activity. Others were partially done, 9 of them. You see, once they took you to program budgeting and activity costing, and when to come to Parliament, Parliament only gives you money having seen costed plans, costed budgets. That's why you appropriate money, and it is with codes. You know for you the way the code. For each activity there is a code. Under that code there is an amount of money. So if you don't spend it, the balance should remain there. So where is the money, sir?
Chair, I would like to draw the accountant to your response, this document of yours on page 4, where you made the response that recruitment of super specialized human recruitment and thus money was not used. Is that the case? And you're not answering to that. Too, you are saying in your response that on the other 2 to 3 program outreaches, you are saying due to increased demand for community accountability outreaches by the politicians, the school outreaches were combined with community outreaches. I think go to your responses and, because here it looks by their response, they were stopped from recruitment by the IGG. Meaning you didn't spend the money. These are your responses.
No, that's why those responses can't suffice. The question for implementation is that the money was spent. So you are recruited, yes, you are stopped from recruiting, no problem. But you spent the money that was supposed to pay for staff.
It's not. We never received the money, we never utilized that money because the recruitment was stopped. So you cannot actually pay when actually, you are under what?
Under utilization of warrants. Is there money you did not spend?
The money we did not spend?
The 0.07.
Yeah?
The 0.07.
0.07. This is, and you see, that's why the auditor, by the time he reaches this one, he has taken care of the 0.7. Acknowledged it. So he can't hold it against you here. So don't give me actual 100% budget. Very rare. You only failed to spend 0.7, and I think he stated what that money was for. It was not for this. Here you had the money for these activities, and you spent the money. Activities were partially done and not done.
Mr. Chairman,
where is the money?
Mr. Chairman, what I wanted to add on to find out is that they are saying due to increased demand for community outreaches by politicians. Were the politicians part of your project of spending, of your planning to spend the money? Because if you have a plan, then you must spend according to your plan. Why would politicians influence you to spend against what you have planned for? I just want to know when the politicians came to your budget, whether they were also budgeted for.
Chair, I think we should put it differently. We should put it that actually there is a lot of demand for these services in the community. And if it is the politician, they are just only coming on behalf. So those demands, actually, we have been responding to them. So that means the demand is exceeding what
Mr. Chairman, the question I'm asking is very clear. You have a plan to do work, a plan of activities. But now when we put pressure on you, you are going to begin visiting everywhere, even when you have not planned. Is that right?
Actually, that is what I'm calling the demand.
Yeah.
So, but because now that there's increased demand, you decided to go just spending for bila plan, without a plan?
No, we spend according to our plan. We also hate those other demands.
No, but if you have planned for 5 activities, would you go against the 5 activities? So where were you going to get that money? Because there was a plan and there was a budget for those activities. Where did you get the extra money to go for the extra activities where the demand was put on you? Is that how we work? Is that how we work? You plan for 5 activities, you go and do 15. Where did you get the extra money that you used for doing those others? Especially that you did even the ones that you had planned for, partially.
Honorable, I think is very clear. And he has also spoken to it. You did a diversion. You failed to implement some activities and implemented the others. The question you should have answered the accounting officer is the authority. Did you seek authority to divert funds? Doctor.
Well, I would say the activities were done, but maybe we did not kind of scrutinize properly, the sources of the funding.
Doctor, simply say, doctors, you are, if you diagnose me with cancer, you have the audacity and the obligation to say, sir, you have cancer. It is at this stage. You can even say it's no longer curable. That's how brutal you can be. So also on these matters, you are neither here say you diverted funds and you proceed.
Chair, I wouldn't really say what the funds were diverted. Chair, I wouldn't really say that the funds were diverted.
You wouldn't do what?
I wouldn't say that the funds were diverted.
You would say what?
Activities were done.
You would say what? Now, let me, part of your report, go to 2.7. Because you are even diverting, delaying us on answers that you already, the auditors noted. 2,448,000,000 were irregularly diverted from salaries for established staff to pay contract staff salaries and vice versa, respectively, without seeking and obtaining the necessary approvals as summarized in the table below. What was your comment on that? I advise the county response, the salaries for the scientists were enhanced, but there was no additional release of funds to meet that additional cost. Therefore, this created shortfalls in the wage budget. Also, there was no release of recruitment non-wage where NSSF is catered for. So you diverted funds. And it's here in your responses. That is just on salaries. But you can even go on this one. So, sir, why do you waste a lot of our time? Can I now tell you other diversions? The enter spent 70, Choma, you can check now this in your account. The enter spent 78 million on code 212103 incapacity benefit employees as per the final trial balance over and above the received appropriation of 40 million. What was the source of that extra funding? The entity spent 306 million on code 2211001 advertisement and public relations over and above approved revised appropriation of 100 million. The entity spent 468 billion on staff training, and yet revised appropriation budget was 80 million. The entity spent 543 million on workshops and seminars, yet they did not budget for workshops and seminars. What was the source of your funding? The entity spent 266 billion on special meals, yet the revised budget was 150. The entity spent 135 million on printing and stationery, yet the revised appropriation was 900. This was 90 million. What was the source? You spent 1.22 billion on electricity, yet you had a budget of 500. You spent 24 billion on medical supply, yet your approved budget was 10. You spent 1.3 billion on consultancy fee. Yes, your budget was 1 billion. You spent 979 billion on machinery maintenance, and your budget was 650. So, all these are on your accounts. Sir, don't do this, doctor. Doctor, don't do this. You are internalizing. I can give you this copy. Of course, it is our research, but I can be generous. I will supply him a copy because I read so many figures. So that's why we told you you failed to implement, and I told you at the beginning that the heart of the audit, any audit is 1.4, where we go for you and say, now, you had money for these activities, you never implemented them, you spent money else, where? And the question is, under which authority? Just go to the second page. You see other matters on trial balance. Number 3. The others were is our analysis. Yes. No, they are within your accounts which you signed to. The accountant can respond. He knows the source. I've told you they are in a trial balance. Go to the 3. Don't cheat my exams before. It has other matters.
Mr. Chairman, you've given an opportunity to indicate to Dr. Riem. Turn to page 4 of your accounts, this book. I hope it's your accounts. Uganda Cash Institute. Page 4. Are you there, sir? Are we together? The accounts, not the Auditor General's, the accounts. Page 4 of the accounts. It reads the statement of responsibilities of the accounting officer. You can help the doctor to. You know, he's good at those short medical terms here and there. Are you there, sir? The statement of responsibilities of accounting officer. If you can read the second last paragraph, the last one, before your signature. You can read it to us and
the one which starts accordingly. To the best of my knowledge and belief, these financial statements are consistent with the book of account which states, to the best of my knowledge and belief, these financial statements are consistent, which have been accurate to maintain. And I accept responsibility for integrity, objectivity of this financial statement, and financial information they contain and their compliance with the Act as amended.
So do you know the implication of that statement? Doctor?
Yes. Yes, I do know. I do understand. Yeah.
Whatever they are trying to raise, we are trying to raise, their material nature, and you said you have maintained, they are consistent. So how can we solve this now? Doctor, how can we solve this matter now?
Honorable colleagues, in the interest of time, query sustained. You seem not to have any defense. Can we proceed? Now, we quickly go to 1.6, we can jump. Let's go to 3. It speaks to even matters we have said. 3, the statement's financial position on 27 show that the standing liabilities mounting to 17 billion as of 30th June 2023. The fear is you have all this money, you are receiving the 100% funding, you have all these liabilities, and there is a risk of litigation. What is 17? I'm on page 9. Doctor, I'm now going to move you faster because of time. Okay. Can we take you by your response? Honorable colleagues, we take the doctor by his response on this.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, because it's beyond their control, because his financial has not been providing money.
Now, we go for 4. Management to essential. This is very critical, doctor. Because we can speak about diversions, but this is where you work from. And here, please answer.
This one.
Management of essential medicine. Access to medicine and supplies, because global concern, I don't want to go there. I go to where the auditor noted. The auditor noted that Uganda Cancer Institute does not have a credit line at Uganda National Medical Stores because of the specialized nature of cancer drugs. So all the medicine and medical supplies are procured by the institute. The institute had a budget of 10 billion for procurement of medicine and medical supplies, out of which 10 was utilized, resulting into a difference of 67 million to remain underutilized. You failed to even utilize all the money for procurement of drugs. So there was 67 million that remained. Was it swept back?
We made the payment at the end of the financial year to international cancer, to suppliers, but that payment bounced.
Okay.
That payment bounced at the end of July, so it was taken back.
Back to what?
To consolidate the fund.
So auditor, is it the one being reflected in the 0.7? He'll give me the answer. Doctor, it's very sad. Let's go through it. This, you can pronounce this machine. It is a halter. It is in whatever. It is in the theater. The equipment was not being used due to incomplete accessories. We go to another one. About
Mr. Chairman, maybe we need to find out some issues about the procurement process.
No, let us first go through them. Because this, doctor, is very sad. laboratory tower machine, not recorded, the theater. The equipment procured in 2017 for use in the theater has never been used due to missing compatible carbon dioxide component. Bought in 2017. How many years down the road? 7 years. Money spent on it, the equipment lies there, it's not being used. Let's go to another one. Radiology. This is an ultrasound machine. This, doctor, I'm going to let you go to the media. For each machine we speak about, you tell us how much you used to procure it. Let's go back to number 1. Do you know how much we spent on it? Accountant.
Chair, why don't you complete the list? And then we get a response.
No, I wanted to take him the list. The cost. Because the country must know how much money did, because when you read through them, people may think it's like buying tomatoes. What? Yes, I want you to speak on camera. The cost associated with each machine that the country incurred, and they are not functional. Let's go to number 1.
Chair, what action has been done? Because some of them, it is because they were incomplete as accessories.
For 7 years.
Can we know
Chairman,
what action was taken? Did they contact
Yes,
the
I
supplier?
know, sir, Honorable there, but my first concern is I want the country to establish a cost, because the auditor did not put a cost. We want you to tell us how much money does each of these machines cost. And then you tell us, you know, we give you a budget, we give you are doing a new construction. I mean, when these were Hawk Tower, these are in the theater. First of all, how much did you?
Chairman,
yes?
Chairman, I wish you gave me an opportunity to build on the point I was talking about.
Okay.
Because it looks like, why? Because some of these things come haphazardly. They are not complete with all the components. Some of them even they are purchasing air. Because I have a dossier on issues of procurement in Uganda Cancer Institute. I have a whistleblower here with me, and you know we passed the law on whistleblowers. They must be protected. There is flouting of procurement processes, doing work outside the procurement plan and budget. There's using contractors not approved. There's also payment without procurement files and supply of air. So as we are beginning to question about these things, we should first look at whether they are following the right procurement processes, and then we go into details. Otherwise, we are going to go and just handle the top. No. But there's a big problem.
Don't worry, we are here. Doctor, who is your procurement officer? Madam, for how long? This one.
I've been there for 1.5 years.
By the time of the audit of this procurement, were you the procurement officer?
No, it was someone else.
Who was the procurement officer by then? Is he within your staff still? Eh?
She was transferred.
She has since left also.
She was?
She was transferred to local government.
To Ministry of Local Government?
Yes.
The procurement officer then? Okay, we'll reach there, but the accounting officer is still the same. Doctor, I may send you to CID today with all your seniority. No, I'm not saying I will, but I may. On this one, if you don't explain very well, I can tell you, I will not spare you. I can spare you on all other matters. Okay? But on these ones, please tell us, number 1, this machine, how much money did you spend?
Chair, I don't want to say I have the cost of all these things in my head, but we can provide the cost. That oak tower, which is an equipment to help in theater, actually what we realized was that certain component of it actually did not come with the machine. And that is actually why it could not work.
And what did you do?
No, since when?
This was 20... Yeah, it was 2017. 2018.
2018?
Yes.
Those are 5 years down the road.
5 years down the road.
Okay,
but of course, we insisted, we put the supplier under pressure to make sure that that component is actually brought. And as I speak, the machine is working. It can also be inspected. It is being used, yes.
By the time of the audit, by the time of the audit, 5 years down the road, you cannot tell us we put pressure. After 5 years down the road, how many people could have died because of that one?
Well, of course,
sir, that query is sustained. Don't waste my time. Another one. Tell us another one.
The laparoscopic tower, this is also similar.
Okay.
Yes, it is also working.
5 years down the road, you fixed it last year?
Yes, we fixed it.
Sir, the query is sustained. 5 years down the road, you cannot offer that explanation.
No, but Chair.
No.
Chair, can we find out from Dr. Rem? When you get, do you pay upfront the whole amount? Because for me, when you get a supplier to supply an equipment, I expect the equipment to be procured, tested that it is working with all its accessories, and then you can make the final payment. So what happened in these situations?
That's exactly what we did. We only paid to the extent that...
but you see what betrays you in all these arguments?
Of course, in between there came issues.
You know, COVID was only for 2 years. Don't insert COVID
It came also in the picture. Of course, the supplier will use that as an explanation.
No, 5 years were under COVID.
But here, Doctor, you see, 2017, when was COVID? COVID was 2020.
So 2017, 2018, when we got the thing, and then the supplier kind of began to, they assembled the equipment, but they did not give us that component that we needed.
Doctor, with the due respect to this committee, don't incite 2017, don't
talk about even COVID.
Don't even say it's now working, because we are speaking about 5 years since you made these machines.
And Mr.
You
Chairman,
cannot escape this, sir.
Mr. Chairman, we thought this machine is this equipment you buy them on demand.
Yeah.
Now, if the equipment is procured in 2017, and the COVID was at the peak 2020, what happened between those 3 years?
So, as I said, the problem was with the supplier, because they could not give us that component that was complete.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Chairman, crossed out that argument.
Mr. Chairman, I want to believe that when these machines are brought in the Uganda Cancer Institute, there must be an engineer who is aware about this. So even when they are installing, the bioengineer must be there. So do we have a competent person in this office to know what is supposed to be contained in that machine?
Not even in that, because that's why for me I don't want to go into that. There is even a pre-inspection.
Mr. Chairman, I have a point I'm building on, because the problem we have the right people in the right offices. As I talk right now, someone was hired and called a consultant without the experience of a consultant.
Yes, I know.
So, Mr. Chairman, there must be something wrong, and I want also to believe that probably doctor is overwhelmed. He has decided to put his energies where he trained, rather than the administration of the institute, because he is not good at this business of calling himself accounting officer, I think he's overwhelmed.
Yes.
Because he has put his energies in treating, and the people behind him who are working with him are actually doing dubious things behind his back.
Honorable, why I think this whole program argument is, I think it hurts, but for equipment acquisition, no, let me tell you, first, for equipment acquisition, there is a pre-inspection. These are sensitive machines. You go, they fly abroad, and they pre-inspect before they are shipped. They are brought here, they are installed, they normally come with expertise to install and do a dry run and a pre-test.
No,
therefore, for anybody or at his level to find those reasons you are giving, they are totally unacceptable to a foolish man, not a clever one.
Mr. Chairman, I've seen this government, this period I've been around, for such equipment before they outsource. I mean, doctor, or you just sit and you...
No.
It's a team which does that.
You've been a minister, you know what happens. You do a lot of trouble on this procurement.
Chair, I had earlier, Honorable, please don't, I'm not an auditor in the Uganda Cancer Institute. Chair, when previously I asked about the principal, the person in charge of human resources, there were serious allegations about this department, that they bring in staff who, you know, on temporary or short-term contracts and leave out focusing on the critical stuff that the hospital needs. When I looked at this list, one of the allegations, which we shall need some clarification from the accounting officer, is a consultant, a biomedical engineer, Sam Sabiti Byamukama. It is alleged that this person was just supposed to be a biomedical engineer. He was brought in and elevated to a consultant, yet he did not have the requisite qualifications to be a senior or consultant. So we need to get information from the accounting officer. How was this person recruited? So that we get out these allegations. And that there was another more qualified senior consultant who had to leave. He was frustrated.
Yes.
And he had to leave and is now with the Ministry of Health.
There's a cult.
So, Dr. Rem, I think there has been these people in the Human Resource Department and other officers seem to be doing so many things as you are busy treating patients and focusing on other, you know, matters within the Cancer Institute. But they're taking advantage of your busy schedule. Yes.
Honorable Sala, the treatment of patients is done by these equipments for cancer. But if these equipments, he cannot be efficient. Sir, let's go back to the equipment one by one. Two, because
do they have a qualified biomedical engineer?
We are going there, but let's go back. This, we are now on number 3. What happened on this ultrasound machine? The equipment has not been used since 2019 because the service provider, Jones Harrison, has not serviced it by the time of the audit. For service, can you believe, to service a machine has taken since 2019 for service?
So,
really?
Can I provide an explanation?
The statement, the one which is...
Yes. Also, it has not been. It has been dumped in the exit area of the basement level. So ultrasound.
It's garbage.
It's garbage. Let's go for another one. Another one. Film printer. Listen to this. This is a film printer in radiology. Radiology. The equipment has not been used since 2020 due to lack of films used in the printer type.
Films, yeah.
Film. Let's go to another one. Endoscopy. Endoscopy. The equipment has not been used since July 2021 due to a fault processor and verbal submissions from the users revealed their unit has not been functioning due to unavailability of this key equipment. The whole, because this equipment is there. Chemo analyzer. The asset was completely out of use and dumped at CCP.
Thrown out.
And just CCP. Doctor, you'll have to convince this committee beyond reasonable doubt why we should not refer you to CID. I'm telling you. You have to convince this committee beyond reasonable doubt that there is negligence of duty. Otherwise, you are causing death. You are, instead of curing, you are causing death.
But Mr. Chairman, they have been talking about underfunding. Whatever little money.
Yes. Much. Chair, I graduated with a master's in radiology in 1999. So all the changes have been around and I've seen them. And but for number 4, we have moved away from film using the printer. So we are now digital. So it is not right that this machine hasn't been working for 4 years due to lack of films. I think with that experience of 25 years, members, you will trust my word. Yeah.
What are you doing now? If that's the only machine you have.
No, we are digital. I mean, you get an X-ray, you take it, and send it to Guru, send it to Kasese, send it to wherever you want on a computer. So one doesn't. It's unfortunate that I can't take you through the
No, let me ask you. What does it take if you print it? I know you can go digital, but does printing... I mean, some arguments should not be brought here. Okay.
Chair, if you... Chair, listening to the gentleman, you interfaced with the auditors. And while interfacing, that the cancer diagnostic equipment is unique in nature and very expensive to maintain, yet the Uganda Cancer Institute maintenance budget is still inadequate. A number of spare parts are imported. The idle equipment were awaiting replacement of spare parts, and some of them were repaired and are in use. So when you say that these films, you no longer use them, why didn't you give that explanation to the auditors then? Because you are contradicting the explanation.
That's why, my colleagues, because I read through these reports one by one. When I see them, these reports, the 8 you are going to meet, I woke up at 2 to come here. So some of these explanations, don't worry, that's how I work.
A nice dancer.
That's why I work. So it's my method of work. So when I listen to some of their arguments and I've read what I know the detail, I don't want to listen to them because I know what they wrote. That's why I stopped him from talking.
Chair, apart from the accounting officer, are you the hospital, are you the administrator, the head administration? Because apart from you, there must be somebody in charge of whatever we're talking about. Are you the one in charge fully? Equipment?
The equipments are under the biomedical engineering, and we have a fully fledged, of course, at the time when some of these equipments were procured, we did not yet have a fully fledged.
For this equipment, when ensuring that this equipment are function and overall supervision, because you cannot be the one in charge of all this.
That falls under the hospital administrator, and under the hospital administrator,
Good.
The engineers are actually reporting to him.
So who is the hospital administrator? No, the gentleman should be answerable.
But maybe before I can hand over to him, I should also explain that number 5 and number 6, those were donations. So they came, they were brought to us, we received them, we used them a little bit, but now when they broke down, we could not repair them.
When something for free, you can just dump it because you don't want to work on it. When you actually had nothing, you've been given, so you just throw it also.
No, because of the spares. For instance, if they came from, I think this one came from the US, and the specifications are different. So when they broke down after we have used them, we cannot get the spares.
Then your explanation would have been that here. But when you look at the explanation that you gave and what you are giving here, they appear different. And when you get back to the explanation of the most experienced gentleman of 25 years in service under radiology, when a machine is due for, not for disposal, but when it outlives its purpose, you declare that so that it is among those to be disposed of, meaning it wouldn't have been appearing under your assets that are still active. Actually, it wouldn't have been reported by the auditor under here. So those explanations that this filming and these things are outdated would have been explained to the auditors. It wouldn't have appeared here.
Yes. Mr. Chairman, yesterday you indicated to us that we have a number of entities to me 3 hours on the Uganda Cancer Institute, and the explanation, whatever they are giving, is not adding value to our discussion. I beg that we close off this meeting and we get another since the last 2 hours.
Sure.
Okay, Small, do you have a biomedical engineer?
Thank
consultant or a consultant?
First of all, that gentleman you mentioned is a very highly trained biomedical engineer. Maybe the first of its kind in the country. First, his basic training was electrical engineering, and then he went and did his postgraduate training in biomedical engineering. So he's very highly qualified. Actually, somebody who is well sought out of this, even outside, a member of highly recognized international biomedical engineering association. So it's a privilege that we have him at the Uganda Cancer Institute. And actually, he was brought to the Institute on a contract paid for through the project of the African Development Bank. So in as far as his qualification, his capacity is concerned, is not questionable. And actually, we are making use of him at the Institute.
Okay. That is good. So the allegations are false.
Honorable Chair, thank you. I'm Hope Gwani Nakaziwe to the people who came to give accounts to us. I'm a member of Parliament, Mubende District, a member of this committee. Chair, I'm sorry, I came to the accounting officer. When you look at all these equipment that are questionable, they are all diagnostic equipment. And Honorable Chair, as we speak right now, the world is shifting in terms of the trend of diseases. We are only seeing so many non-communicable diseases, and at the highest of which is cancer. Honorable Chair, without the proper diagnosis, we cannot provide the right treatment. So Dr. Ian being very busy providing treatment like Honorable Opendi has been mentioning is important, but if we do not have the right diagnosis, we are not going to give the right treatment. So Honorable Chair, I had a few questions that maybe the accounting officer needs to respond to, because considering the experienced or the experts who gave us some explanation of shifting technology from the analog to the digital. It is very true, yes. Lately we can go to a facility and then you get treatment without having all the papers scattered around. But when you look at their stationery in the previous queries, you really see that they have so much paper littered around, and that is money, considering the overspending that was seen at that particular activity. Honorable Chair, let them tell us, who is the head of diagnosis, and do you have other alternatives for diagnosis apart from this equipment that you have here in these various aspects, like for radiology, the scan, the hematology machine? Do you have something else that you're using? And then, Honorable Chair, the other thing they had to tell us about is this Octal that he told us is a very expensive machine. This very expensive machine, you said, was not paid for at the time of procurement. Couldn't you look for another provider to provide this machine before you say this particular supplier gave us explanations? Moreover, in their explanation, they have that the suppliers gave verbal explanations. Really, as an accounting officer, you do not know that you need to have something on pen and paper to present just in case there is an audit of this nature. And then you say it was a verbal explanation that we do not have the supplier responding. Honorable Chair, we need responses that are put on pen and paper for the various years that he says the 5 years were all hindered, like the activities were hindered just because of COVID. We need those written responses from the suppliers to you, and those the letters also that prompted the suppliers to give you this information. Because, Honorable Chair, in most cases, in most facilities, they do not pay attention to diagnostics because they know when a patient goes to for diagnostic services, they do not pay. But when they refer the patients to the various diagnostic centers that they have around themselves, the patients will have to pay. We have to ensure that there is value for money to the amount of money that is sent to Cancer Institute on behalf of the Ugandans who are unable to pay, Honorable Chair. We have seen Ugandans go to Uganda Cancer Institute, but they cannot get these diagnostic services. Just because they are not provided in the facility, they have to go outside UCI. So we need to take this seriously. And the other thing that we want you to tell us, after you telling us whether you have alternatives to this equipment, if you do, are you planning to dispose of these other machines? We know how critical the machines you use at UCI are. They have raised, the public needs to be protected. Why do you then keep them all over at the exit area, the emergency exit area? You can imagine emergency exit area. That is where you dumped the machine. In case there is an emergency and people have to move out, how will they do it? So, we thank you so much, but Honorable Chair, they should know that we are operating a resource-constrained country. If the machines are not in use, let them be disposed of, and we get to know that they are disposed of. Thank you.
Can you address our concerns in being updated to the extent that the equipment that we are talking about is not causing our patients to miss out on the service? Dr. Nixon Nyunzima here is our head of diagnostic services. He's going to respond, and then can respond to the others.
Okay, but before, who is in charge of, you are the head executive director. Who in these officers is in charge of this docket of equipment, maintenance?
The hospital administrator for now is representing that department because engineering falls under him.
Is the officer responsible? Okay, who is he? How long have you been at this facility?
Okay, Chair, thank you. I have been in this facility for the last 5 years.
Okay.
But in this particular, I have been there for the last 12 months.
In the previous months, what were you doing?
Okay, I was a hospital administrator.
You've been an office administrator. Okay. And you've been the executive director since this period. Okay, first complete that.
Okay, thank you, Chair. About the
And you've been working as what?
And also the laboratory.
And these are laboratories?
No, they are not laboratory equipment,
Okay.
but I had diagnostics.
How about that gentleman?
There's one laboratory equipment, which is what I'm going to comment about, yes. Dr. Lutu is a senior consultant radiologist, but just quickly to comment on the laboratory equipment, the hematology analyzer was a donation to the Cancer Institute. Cancer Institute has 4 other hematology analyzers. Now, the recommendation from the audit was actually that this equipment shouldn't be kept at the premises, but should be disposed of because it's no longer functional. It's no longer in use. We have 4 hematology analyzers as backup, and I'm happy to note that it's Honorable Hope has asked because she knows the capacity. She has been in the lab, so she knows what equipment we have at the Cancer Institute. And I was also to differ from what she's saying that we don't actually emphasize diagnostics. I am happy to note that you're coming on Thursday because you'll be able to see what kind of capacity we've built at the Cancer Institute for diagnostics.
All right. Sir, you work as what?
I am a consultant radiologist and a senior consultant radiation oncologist.
What is your role in this equipment? Nothing?
No, I was going to throw light onto the diagnostics.
You have a role in here on this equipment?
As a radiologist, yes.
Okay. So it's you. And
we have got...
continue. So to provide, no, that's what I want to provide the answers.
So I think for the tower, whether we have an alternative, the answer is that now we have actually even a better.
Okay, sir, I've noted. Answer 5. Answer 5. 5 is where, honorable colleagues, 5, we shall be very brief, is where Uganda Cancer Institute signed the contract with the contractor on 25th of April 2022 for a construction of a 350 bed. That's 6 what? 6. Okay, here it is 5. It doesn't matter. So 5.0, which is 6.0. In April 2022, you signed a contract to build 350-bed hospital and renovation of 6-level building at a contract price of 69,677 million. The contract duration was 18 months, commencing on 18th of August 2022, with the completion date of 17th of July, 17th of February 2024. However, the project status report for September 2023 indicates that the value of work executed by the end of September 2023 was only 8 billion, representing 11%, with the 2/3 of the time elapsed. And this is the government of Uganda funded project, not the other one. Is that so?
Yes.
And that's the progress?
Thank you very much. Yes, money was provided. The project cost is 69 billion, and the current progress is the shell of the building is complete. So what we are now doing is trying to make sure that we do the finishes of the building. Of course, the the contractor has been very slow in as far as the project progress is concerned, but we have issued him with warnings, and of course the result of that has been he has kind of picked up, and as you come for the visit on Thursday, you are going to see the progress which is being made. Regarding the capacity of the building in terms of how many patients is going to accommodate, one of the things which came up, which again has also, I would say, slowed work a little bit, but for good reason, is that the users have come up with new specifications for some of the spaces, and that process has also been completed because we have gone to review the design so that it is actually up to what currently is expected for a structure of that nature. So all that you can see when you come on the ground. Thank you.
Good enough for that one shall be there on Wednesday. Honorable colleagues, yes.
Chair, we are talking about a contractor. Can we have the name of the contractor for purposes of our records? And what the progress is, because by the time of the audit, progress was at 11.6%.
That's September.
So, yes, so what is it now?
So the contractor is called SMS Construction Company, and as I speak now, the civil works for that project is at 35%.
But Chair, this takes me to the complaints we have been receiving about the procurement unit in the Cancer Institute. We have credible contractors who can deliver in a short time. Sometimes you pick on contractors aware that as the Uganda Cancer Institute, you're challenged, you actually need these buildings yesterday. So what drives you to pick on these contractors who move at snail speed as if you are constructing a health center for? This is supposed to be a center of excellence for the treatment and training of oncology within the East African region. I left the ministry way back in 2019, Dr. Rem. You are aware we used to sit in Arusha in those meetings. It's a pity that up to now, we are still grappling with incomplete buildings. Thank you. I'm about to go backward.
You're about to go back. So, Doctor, I think we are coming there on Thursday. When on site, we will assess that progress and we will look at that comprehensive report when we are there. Honorable colleagues, what? Chair, the corridor outside there is full, and I think those could be our clients. No, the corridor there, and we start with. But you know, on 5.1, okay, of dealing where service delivery is concerned, and our leadership is for yesterday. If nobody is moving a motion, I will, because I see you fear. Doctor, head of what? Head administration, head what? You head what? Head medical service. The three of you. I'm referring you to CID right now, after this meeting. Is the procurement here? Is the procurement? No, the procurement officer, let's be real, said she's just in office. How many months? 1 year.
Mr. Chairman, the procurement office...
You can move to add the procurement. Let's not make an argument.
Mr. Chairman, the procurement office is not an individual. And that does not guarantee that the one who was there cannot appear. She must come and answer for this.
Okay.
This is taxpayers' money.
So including a procurement.
And for that matter, I move that the procurement officer
be added
at that time of the audit be added on the list of those to appear before the CID.
So, for negligence of these machines and consequently causing harm to patients' cancer, I refer the 3 of you, the 4 of you, to CID immediately after this meeting. Meeting adjourned to next. Meeting suspended for 10 minutes. CID do the administration, take these 4 officers.
Byebyo namwe mubirabye bulungi. Bakulembeze bebawa ate ez'okuyamba abali mu buzibu, abali mu bulwadde, abali mu bwetaavu, ate bazikakanako nabo ne bazikavula, nabo ne bazeegabira. Kati nno bakwatiddwa bagende babitebye okusobola okunnyonnyola ensimbi zino bazibuzaawo zitya, zababulako zitya, zavaawo zitya, zabula zitya, okulaba ng'ate abalwadde abandizifunye ate abalamu bazeevuuja. Kyokka nga tibasaba omusimbi mungi okubeezaawo eddwaliro eryo, naye ate ensimbi naziddako ne bazikavulanga nkavule mu bintu ebitatuukaganye. Bikusobera abayivu b'e Uganda, kyovula abantu bafa, tibananga abantu bafa kansa, naye nga tewali kyuma na kimu kikebera kansa. Ng'ensimbi baazibawa baagaana obbigula, baagula bifu, baagula bichina ne bifiirawo mu nnaku 2. Tasobola kubikola repair kuba baagala omusimbi mungi. Kati ne tubeerawo nga gwolowooza ogenze Mulago kujjanjaba, wali obujjanjabi naye nga nayo tewali, nga just ogenze kufa bufi. Mulago kansa tawona naye nga ddala tewali byuma bijjanjaba kubanga abasajja baabiryamu dda ssente, abasajja baabyegabanya dda, abasajja baabiwuuta, mubalaba kunyirira bisakiro, obuwalata bonna bumasaamasa naye nga bali ku nsimbi za miwamusozi beevoota. Abalwadde ba kansa bafa bufi, bo bali mu kutonda. Ate nno n'ekisinga okusesa, eddagala lya kansa balitunda mu zifamasi zaabwe. Bo balina okuwa eddagala, balina oddikupiika kubanga olina okulisasula, ate nga neeno ebimu byandibadde bikujjanjaba okukebera nabyo ate abasajja babiryamu ddemberenge. Naye tulabye ne Uganda yaffe kino kyonna kiva ku system bulongoto, system yaffe edda system yagwa. Naye kati buvunaanyizibwa bwange, buvunaanyizibwa bwaffe okulwana tuba tujjawo system emboofu, system enfu, system etwetedde bino byonna ebizimu. System eyo bw'eneevaawo buli kimu kijja kuba bulungi, kijja kutereera, era buli omu ajja kweyagala, era buli omu ajja kutambula nga adda mu maaso, ng'okyokola kitambula kidda mu maaso, era asobole n'okubeera abalamu. Kubanga amawanga gasinga abantu bawangaala nno ne babeerawo myaka miyitirivu, naye ffe ne bana tulina abantu bakadde, bonna bavubuka bakadde bonna bafudde baweddewo, abandibadde abakulu bonna bafa bufi. Tusigala abavubuka ffekka. Kati nno tulina okulwana okulaba nga kitereera, tujjawo nakyemalira, atumazeeko essanyu lyaffe n'eddembe lyaffe n'obulamu bwaffe. Kale mwenna abaliko mbaagala nnyo, mwebale kubaako n'otuwagiranga. Mukama Katonda Donda Lugaba Namugereka oyatakumira mpeera, banywanyi gwe nsaba bankuumire, tujja kuba tuddamu. Mweraba.